Are you feeling unfulfilled or looking for your purpose in life? Welcome to the Let's Talk About It podcast, a platform to discuss mental health, finding purpose, and work life balance. Join me during a weekly discussion where we are finding our purpose on purpose. My name is Raquel, and I'm your host. Now let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Let's Talk About It podcast. This is episode 11. Today we are talking about Love Saved My Life. Initially, when I started the concept of this podcast, it was wrapped around my wife coming into my life at a time where I did not expect to be loved, to feel loved. And then when I kind of set in on the topic and kind of dwell with God, I realized that it wasn't the love of my wife that saved my life. It was the love, grace, and favor of God that saved my life. He allowed someone with such a pure heart, so genuine, so kind, to come into my life at a time where I felt less than. I felt like I didn't deserve anything. I resulted to certain things to numb the pain. So, to give you a little visual of what exactly happened in the time that my wife came into my life, I just got out of a toxic relationship. I had just moved out of my apartment into my own apartment. I was out of a job for a while and finally had gotten a job. And I told myself, Raquel, you're going to be single for 2 years. 2 years, be single. And in that transition of me being alone and feeling alone in this world, I began to build a relationship with God. I began to create a sacred space for me and Him to come together and for me to just be honest with myself, for me to be honest with Him. Granted, He knows all things and He knows, what I'm going through, what I'm doing, even when I feel like I'm doing it in secret. So, when I was out drinking and staying out late and doing drugs just to numb the pain, he saw me. And for a very long time, I was ashamed of the fact that he saw me that way. But when I created my prayer journal, I started just spilling out my truth. I started just asking for forgiveness. I started having conversations and being intimate with God in a way where I no longer felt alone. I no longer felt like I needed someone in this world to talk to. I no longer felt like I wasn't going to make it. And as I stated, I told myself I'm going to be single for 2 years. And the saying is you tell God your plans and he laughs at you. And when I say, I'm sure he was laughing at that because within, I would say, 3 months of me being single, me and my wife reconnected. We were already friends. We had already kept in contact, but, we were just always friends. And at this time in my life, she began to not only be my friend and listen to me and be a shoulder to lean on, she started showing me a way to be loved that I would have never expected. She started engaging in my wants and encouraging me to go after the bigger things in my life. And I was at a stage in my life where I was always wearing makeup, and I think the makeup was a mask of the pain that I was going through. And she would always tell me, like, you're beautiful without it. And she would look at different features of my face and pinpoint them out and say how beautiful I was, and just all around a genuine person that showed me a different way to be loved, a different way to have a friendship with someone. And she pushed me. Like, at one point, I was trying to, get my GED. That's a story for another, a topic for another episode. I was in the process of getting my GED, and, she pushed me to do that. She pushed me to study. She made sure that, I stayed focused, and she brought me out to New York and showed me a different side of the world, and just really allowed me to feel like there's a different way to be loved. And I was so used to just, I guess the immature way to be loved, going out, getting drunk all the time, and spending money and not really living life. Like, just, I can't even put it in any other way other than not really living life. Like, you can't expect to get anything out of life if the only thing you're doing is going to the club, getting drunk, and waking up with the hangover and repeat, work, repeat. Like, it's insane. It's insane. So for me, as I stated, I started, accepting that I wasn't alone. I started accepting that, God was there for me. I started accepting the fact that God had brought someone into my life, and he allowed her to show me certain things that I wouldn't have been able to experience had I not let her in, had I not been vulnerable enough to tell her, where I had come from, to tell her why I was in so much pain. And after a few months, of me, I guess I want to say silently dating her because I really didn't want to be in a relationship. I started praying to God, like, one day I pray that I can have a family. One day I pray that I can find peace. One day I can find love with no conditions. And 6 months later, we were in a relationship. And since then, it has not been the easiest process. I was very resistant for many of reasons because I just told myself, like, I wanted to be single for 2 years, but somewhere in my mind I knew that God knew that I needed someone in this world to save me from my worst self, to save me from being self-destructive. Because for me, I craved not being alone because I hadn't been alone for so long. I craved wanting someone to accept me in all the wrong places. And for the first time in a long time, it was someone who came into my life, and she gave me all of those things. But for whatever reason, I wasn't able to accept them when they came, at the time that they came. I guess because the outline of what I said that I was going to give myself didn't happen. Like, I was out of control. And I think that's the beauty of it all, is that I was literally out of control of the way that I was falling in love with her. And that's why I say that love saved my life, because had I not experienced that, had I not got a taste of it, I don't think I would be where I am today. I have a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful child. We are creating this great foundation with our careers. We're creating this great foundation with our family. And I'm at the most peaceful place in my life that I have ever been in, I would say, the last 12 years. So I say to you, who has God brought into your life that you've been resistant to, or that's supposed to be there to help you realize that you are a beautiful person, that's supposed to help you realize that the you now isn't going to be the you in the future, that they can accept you how you are now, but they're going to help build you to be the better version of yourself. And that also goes within finding your purpose. Like, at the end of the day, we result to God, but God has us all here so we can help each other. Like, that's the point of it all. We're supposed to be helping each other get to where we're supposed to go, regardless of if it's a friendship, regardless if it's a relationship, whatever it is. Like, maybe it's someone just passing by. We are supposed to help each other get to where we're going. And that's how you build testimony. That's how you build relationship. And that's how you love on God's people, the way that in his word that he says that he wants us to love on each other. And I got a scripture, Romans 8:28. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, For those who are called according to his purpose, it is no coincidence when people walk in and out of our lives. Neither is it luck but destiny. That goes back to what I was saying about, the transition that I made in my life, the transition coming out of a toxic relationship and being alone for the first time in a long time, and then my wife coming into my life when I did not want her to come in my life. Like, I literally wanted to be alone, but like I said, I just believe God knew that I didn't need to be alone physically. Spiritually, I had him, but physically and on earth, like I was so alone. And I felt that in many different ways, that if had I probably stayed alone, I know that God would have gotten me where I needed to be, but I would have continued to put myself in situations that I didn't need to be, just because I was continuously trying to numb the pain, trying to understand why no one loved me, and things like that. Like, God knows your insecurities. God knows your weaknesses. God knows the thoughts that you have. And I think the fact that I built that relationship in that sacred place with him, and I was honest with him for the first time. Like, we all think that we're hiding from God. We all think that the things that we do, he doesn't see, or like it's a secret, but it's not. Like, he knows all things. So I just really feel like, knowing the child that he created, he knew that this person would help me achieve way more than what I could ever imagine. Another scripture that I feel would be suitable for this topic is John 13:7. What I am doing, you do not understand now, but afterwards you will understand. In the beginning of our relationship, I didn't understand why is it that I wanted 2 years by myself to be single, and you brought me someone perfect. Well, not perfect, but like perfect for my love language, perfect for what I needed at that moment. And I had a choice. I could have passed her up and said, no, I want to stick to my 2-year plan. Or I could have accepted the love that she was giving me and see a different part of a person. Because at that point in my life, I'm just like, there's no way that anybody can love the way that I love. And even being in the relationship and marriage that I am in now, I realize that the way that I love also can be improved. Like, the way that I love and the way that I express my emotions or receive emotions from another person, it's not just the best way. And if you watch last week's episode 10, childhood traumas. Like, childhood traumas are the reason why we can't communicate in relationships, or life traumas in general are the reasons why we don't communicate with our partner the right way, or we don't receive their emotions the right way. And those are all things that I'm working on, because when I see her and when I see the way that she loves, and when I think about what I pray for, when I pray to God to teach me how to love this woman the right way, teach me how to communicate, allow me to embrace her instead of be resistant and reject her. And all of my prayers since 2019 up until now have been answered in different ways, like whether they come immediately or whether they've come over the spans of years. I've always gotten an answer, and my heart has been open. My heart has warmed to the relationship that I'm in, and I can only say that the love of God changed my life and continues to change my life. He continues to show me that no matter your circumstances, no matter the pit you put yourself in, I will always pick you up. I will always get you out of that circumstance. I will always guide you back to the path that I want you on. You just have to let me. And I say to everyone that tunes into this podcast, like, allow God to work in your life. Allow him to let other people into your life. And all of that, oh, I don't have friends, and I'm one deep and all that other stuff. It's nice. It's cool. Cause, me personally, I'm not just out there dealing with a whole bunch of different people, or I'm not out there calling a whole bunch of people my friends. And I have been, in order to reach the place that I am in now, I have had to seclude myself and separate myself from a lot of people. But when God sends you a person that genuinely has a good heart, genuinely wants the best for you, genuinely all around accepts you for who you are and is willing to learn you as a person, friendship or in relationships, don't be resistant to that, especially if you prayed for it. Open your heart, open your mind, and know that nothing happens by coincidence. Everything happens for a purpose. And those monumental moments helps you get to your purpose in life, regardless if it's for a season or it's for a lifetime. Let those moments guide you to your full potential. And I just think that no matter where you are in your life, there's always going to be somebody who can help you get you to where you want to be. God will always put somebody in your path to speak to you, to give you a life lesson, good or bad. Maybe you need to be taught that this isn't the type of person that you need to be around. You need to separate yourself from these type of people so you can get on the right track and in that right group of friends, or that right crowd, or find that right church, or find the right motivational speaker, whatever it may be, whatever it is that helps you get through your day to day. And when you ask God, He answers your prayers and what you feel speaks to you. Let that in. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And a lot of us are afraid to almost be transparent and see through. Like the blockage that you put, the hard exterior that you have, let that down. Soften that exterior and let someone embrace you. It's okay to let someone see you for who you truly are. It's okay for someone to see the broken part of you and accept it. But know that you don't have to stay broken. Know that you, at the end of it all, can be healed, will be healed, and will get to where you're supposed to be. So, as always, bring it to the platform. We're going to talk about it. And I hope this episode helps you understand that we are all here to help each other. Accept what God has brought to you. Don't reject what you've prayed for. And always know that we're going to talk about it. And I'll see you next episode. It was, my God. What? Girl. I love you.